Hello and welcome to the fourth grade channel of Sun Devil Learning Labs. I am Mrs. Khan. Let's get started. Today's topic is main idea. And our objective for today is I can identify the main idea and supporting details in a text. All right, so let's look at this. Main idea. When you think about main idea, ask yourself, what is the text mostly about? All right. And if you think of your text like a pizza, okay, think of this entire pizza as your text, okay? This one slice is your main idea. That's what your pizza is. So if I had out in front of me or even in front of you a ball of dough, some pizza sauce, pepperonis, mushrooms, whatever toppings you like, all right? You would hopefully come to the conclusion that we were making pizza, right? That's the same idea when we look for main idea, right? So we think to ourselves and we ask, how do I find the main idea? And these are the things that you want to do. You want to look at the title and headings, if there are any, because that would be in an article. You look at the pictures that are included. Look for words that are used more than once, so anything that's repeated, and reread the first and last sentence. All right? Hit pause, copy this down if you want. Let's keep going. So, think about main idea. What is main idea? The main idea is what the text is mostly about. That can be a paragraph, a book, an essay, anything, right? And the main idea is what the author is trying to get across to the reader. So that could be me, that could be you, it could be whoever is reading it. And oftentimes, the very first sentence of a paragraph or a text will give you clues to the main idea or even explicitly state it, right? So your first sentence could be your main idea. And this helps the reader, you, me, whoever it is, start with a clear idea of what you're going to be reading, right? So let's look at this. This is an example text, all right? It says, lightning is the flash of light that occurs when electricity moves between clouds or between a cloud and the ground. The huge spark of electricity is like the tiny kind you get when you run a comb through your hair or scuff your feet on a carpet, only much stronger. A lightning bolt that crackles through the air can reach a temperature of 60,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 5 times hotter than the sun. The intense heat from lightning causes the surrounding air to expand, resulting in the loud sound known as thunder. Right? So hit pause, reread it as much as you want, go back to our chart that has our steps of what to do, right? You might have copied it down. And think about what is the main idea, right? Go ahead and hit pause, go back and do that. All right, so let's look at this text and try to figure out what our main idea is, all right? So I have my clues here. So I have when electricity moves between clouds is a clue, right? Huge spark of electricity. It's another clue because they're both talking about electricity, right? And then a lightning bolt that crackles through the air can reach a temperature of 60,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Lightning was actually mentioned in the first sentence, and it's mentioned again after this, right? So when I put these things together after I've reread it a few times, right? That's what you should have already done. I come to the conclusion that my main idea is that lightning is electricity. All right. Hopefully you got something similar to that. Let's keep going. All right. So let's think about our main idea again, right? Think about our pizza. That's what our whole text is. The main idea is pizza. What got us there are the details, right? And the things that we look for to get to our main idea is title, headings, pictures, repeated words, our first and last sentence, right? So let's continue looking at main idea, all right? So why is the main idea important? I know you maybe are asking yourself that, right? Why do we need to know what the main idea is? Well, because it's the whole point of reading, right? We read to either learn things or be entertained, and sometimes it's both. When we understand what the main idea is, we have a better understanding of what we are reading, what the author wants to convey to the reader, right? And without knowing the main idea, we don't really know what it is we're reading, right? So if you read, think of your favorite book. You know what the main idea is because you've read it so many times. You understand what the entire idea of the story is, right? And what details help you to figure that out, right? So how do we find our main idea, right? Think back to the pizza, right? Like we said before, right? One way to find the main idea is to look at the very first sentence. Another is to look at the last sentence, right? Authors like to end their writing by wrapping things up, reminding the reader what the purpose of the text was, right? And if you're struggling to find the main idea, don't worry about it. Look for ideas that aren't the main idea, right? The main idea is not usually detailed. It's usually a concept that explains the entire story, right? And you can look for details within the text that are connected or related to each other. And those will be clues to support what the main idea is. All right? So let's practice this. Scientists say lightning strikes the surface of Earth about 100 times each second. Thunderstorms are most frequent during the spring and summer. Experts warn people to be especially aware of the dangers of lightning during those seasons. Right? Pause, reread it, figure out what the main idea is. Okay? All right, so what I have is my clue is that experts warn people to be especially aware of the dangers of lightning during those seasons, right? So for me, the main idea of the passage is that lightning and other storms are dangerous, right? Hopefully you got the same thing. So let's remind ourselves again about our main idea, okay? If you haven't copied this down, take the time to copy it down. It's something that'll help you in all of your reading, whether that's your favorite chapter book or an article, all right? There you are. Copy it down. Whatever you need to do. Here we go. So when we are trying to find our main idea, right? The main idea has to be supported by the details within the story, right? You can get a better idea of what the main idea is by paying close attention to key details in the story, like what are they saying? What are they helping to prove? How do they all tie back in together, right? And in many cases, you can figure out the main idea before you even begin reading the story. Just look at the title, right? So much of what you need to know about a story is in the title. This is where the author first introduces their story to the audience, captivating them and giving them an idea of what they will be reading, right? All right, so let's try this. I want you to use this graphic organizer, all right? I'm also going to show you two other ones, okay? So I have two different ones, okay? So I have a piece of paper here, right? I folded it just because it helps me draw the lines, that's it. So I have the top part, which is my topic. We're going to touch on that a little bit later. And then I have our main idea and the details that relate to it, right? They're supporting details. You can make something like this. You can make something like the image I just showed you, right? And then I have this one. This one is a little bit more interactive, all right? What I like to do with this one is under my options part, I like to either write down as a list what all of my clues are or use sticky notes, because then I have all of my options and I can move them around. Is it the main idea or is it just a detail, right? And whatever arrangement I end up with, I didn't have to keep erasing and rewriting, right? I had my clues, I arranged them and rearranged them until they fit, okay? Pick your graphic organizer between the three, right? Decide which one you want to use, okay? Go ahead and make that. Push pause, make that. All right, let's continue. This passage does not have a title, right? So we're going to read through it, try to figure out what our clues are that'll lead us to our main idea, all right? So let's read it. Not only is smoking cigarettes a disgusting and smelly habit, it's also extremely bad for your health. It has been proven to cause cancer, lung disease, and heart disease, and to weaken your immune system. Smoking makes it a lot harder to breathe, which means it's more difficult to play sports and get the exercise you need to stay healthy. It is also harmful for those hanging around a smoker because they breathe the smoky air. Even though most people are aware of how bad smoking is for them, more than 1,000 people die each day from its effects. All right, hit pause, reread it as many times as you want, and try to figure out which pieces are going to be your clues that help support your main idea. All right, go ahead and hit pause now. All right, so hopefully you have figured out some clues and maybe your main idea, right? What I have is my clues are cause cancer, lung disease, and heart disease. That's one. Weaken your immune system. That's two. And a lot harder to breathe, right? So that's three. I have three clues that should support my main idea, right? So let's see what I have. Are you ready? So I'm using this graphic organizer. We're going to put our supporting details in at the bottom, right? We have it causes cancer, lung disease, and heart disease, weakens your immune system, and makes it a lot harder to breathe, right? So my main idea, right? If you think about it, if you say smoking, you're thinking of the topic, right? We want it to be a little bit more specific because what was the passage about, right? All right, so I use this graphic organizer and those details that we already pulled, I'm going to throw them in the bottom, all right? So we have causes cancer, lung disease, and heart disease, weakens your immune system, and it makes it a lot harder to breathe, right? So my main idea, I'm not just going to say that it's smoking, right? Because it's a little bit more detailed than just smoking, right? What we read has a little more meat to it, if that makes sense. All right. So my main idea that I have is smoking is bad for your health, right? Yes, the passage did say that smoking is gross, right? But that wasn't what all of the details supported. Okay, so let's move on. right? So let's practice this together, all right? The rain began early in the morning. It fell as hard drops, one after another. The sky was full of dark purple clouds. Thunder began as a soft rumble and became louder and louder. Lightning crashed every few minutes, making the sky a brilliant white. All right? Push pause, reread it as many times as you need to. Try to figure out what the main idea is, all right? Here we go. So, an example of a main idea from that passage is the storm was very strong. A non-example, something that we don't want to say is the main idea, is the thunder hurt people's ears, because our first example, right, shows the main idea, has multiple details within the story that support that the storm is strong, right? It had hard drops and loud thunder and crashing lightning. But because the story did not discuss thunder hurting people's ears, that idea is our non-example, right? Does that make sense? It's not supported. All right, so let's try it. I'm going to give you two options, right? I have two passages that I am going to present to you. I will read them. You can decide which one you want to do. Figure out what your supporting details are and what your main idea is from the passage. Use a graphic organizer. It'll be so helpful. All right, let's go. Here's our first one. Wonders of Water. That's our title. Water plays an important part in our lives and in our environment. It covers nearly 3/4 of the Earth's surface. It is fun to play in, but it is also needed for life. In fact, we cannot survive without water to drink. People also need water to wash, cook, and grow food. Every living thing needs water. Without it, plants and trees would not grow, aquatic life would have nowhere to live, and animals who find their food in the water would have nothing to eat. Up in Earth's atmosphere, water vapor cools and collects in the clouds. When enough clusters of cloud particles stick together, they tumble back down to Earth as rain, snow, hail, or sleet. So without water, the water cycle would not work, and we would not have precipitation on Earth. Did you know that most of the world's population does not have access to clean water? We are very lucky to live in a country where clean water is available for us to drink. It is up to us to be responsible users of the water we have on Earth. All right, hit pause if you want to reread that one over. And here's our second one. Preventing cavities. That's our title. There are many ways you can protect your teeth from cavities. When cavities form, they give bacteria a place to hide while forming a clear coating on your teeth called plaque. A buildup of plaque can burn holes in your teeth, so it is important to prevent the plaque from forming. Using fluoride toothpaste is a good way to prevent cavities. Fluoride is a chemical that hardens your tooth enamel and makes it harder for acids to burn through your teeth. Some water bottling companies add fluoride to their water, so drinking water with fluoride in it will also help. Another way you could prevent cavities is to avoid sugary foods and chew sugar-free gum. Bacteria love sugar, and when you eat lots of sugar, they eat too. There are many ways to prevent cavities, but the best way is to brush for 2 minutes at least 2 times a day using fluoride toothpaste and a toothbrush. By doing this, you are making sure that you still have your teeth when you are older. It will also give you something to smile about. All right, hit pause, reread that one. All right, so let's look at our clues from this passage, all right? So for me, the clues in this passage, after reading it several times, are water plays an important part in our lives and in our environment. In fact, we cannot survive without water to drink. People also need water to wash, cook, and grow food. Without it, plants and trees would not grow, aquatic life would have nowhere to live, and animals who find their food in the water would have nothing to eat. And so without water, the water cycle would not work and we would not have precipitation on Earth. All right, so I have 4 clues. I'm going to put them in a graphic organizer-ish, all right? It's not the same one that I showed you because I added in this, which is an image of the passage that we read so that we don't have to go back and forth, all right? So looking at this, if you remember our clues, here they are, right? So our clues are going to be the options that I show you, which are water is an important part of our lives and our environment. We cannot survive without water to drink. Plants and trees would not grow, and we would not have precipitation on Earth, all right? If you need to pause and double check where you put your clues, what is a detail and what's your main idea, go ahead and do that. Let's continue, all right? I'm going to show you my details first and then my main idea, all right? So here we go. My first detail, my supporting detail, is we cannot survive without water to drink, right? My second one is plants and trees would not grow. And my third one is we would not have precipitation on Earth, right? So that leaves me with my main idea, which is water is an important part of our lives and our environment, right? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. All right, so let's check on this one. All right, let's look at our clues for this passage. After reading this a few times, I found my clues, which are, there are many ways you can protect your teeth from cavities. Using fluoride toothpaste is a good way to prevent cavities. Some water bottling companies add fluoride to their water, so drinking water with fluoride in it will also help. Another way you could prevent cavities is to avoid sugary foods and chew sugar-free gum. There are many ways to prevent cavities, but the best way is to brush for 2 minutes at least 2 times a day using fluoride toothpaste and a toothbrush. All right? So let's arrange this, all right? This looks different from the graphic organizer I showed you because I have in here an image of the passage that we read so that we don't have to go back and forth, right? So let's think about our clues, all right? Those are going to be our options. And our clues are, there are many ways you can protect your teeth from cavities. Using fluoride toothpaste, avoid sugary foods and chew sugar-free gum, and brush for 2 minutes at least 2 times a day. All right, so let's put our details in first, right? Those are our supporting details, and then we can put in our main idea, all right? So my first detail is using fluoride toothpaste, all right? My second detail is avoid sugary foods and chew sugar-free gum. My third detail is brush for 2 minutes at least 2 times a day, right? When you put those 3 things together, they're going to support my main idea, which is there are many ways you can protect your teeth from cavities, right? When you put all those things together, it makes sense that way. Here's what I want you to do, right? A little bit of extra practice if you want to do it. You don't have to. You can skip ahead to our recap at the end. I have here 2 passages. You can pick one to do if you want, or you can do both, okay? And what I want you to do with it is figure out your supporting details from the passage and your main idea, okay? Here we go. Here's our first one. This passage reads, if you are feeling sad, you can make yourself feel better by doing a few simple things. You can take a walk or get another form of exercise. You can talk to a friend, or you can write down your feelings. Writing down the good things in your life will help too. Doing something good for someone else will also help you feel better. If you still feel a little sad, act happy. It works like magic to make you feel better, right? So hit pause, reread it if you need to, okay? The main idea of this passage is select your main idea, all right? A, sometimes people feel sad. B, you should do good things for others. C, we're not always happy. Or D, there are many ways to make yourself feel better, right? Select your main idea, right? And then look through the passage and identify some details that help you show that the main idea is the one you chose, all right? Show your supporting details, okay? All right, let's look at our answers. All right, so what I have is my main idea is D. There are many ways to make yourself feel better. And the details that I pulled from the passage are you can take a walk or exercise, right? You could write down your feelings and doing something good for someone else, right? Those three details support my main idea, right? Let's look at our next one, or you can skip ahead. Our next one doesn't have the answer options because I wanted to challenge you, okay? So we'll read the passage and then you decide what your main idea is and support it with a couple of details, okay? So our passage says, hurricanes are large, intense storms that begin over the ocean where they gather heat and energy from the water. Hurricanes move slowly toward land, usually moving 10 to 20 miles per hour for more than 1 week. The most dangerous part of the storm is the storm surge when it reaches land and causes flooding. Wind and waves also contribute to the damage caused by these surges. All right? So what is the main idea of this passage? Hit pause, reread it as many times as you need to, decide what your main idea is, and then support it with a couple of details. All right? Hit pause now. All right, so let's check our answers. Remember, as long as your answers, they don't have to be exactly like mine, as long as your main idea is supported by details from the passage, you most likely got it, all right? So what I have is my main idea is hurricanes are dangerous storms, all right? And the details that help me to support my main idea from the passage are the most dangerous part of a hurricane is the storm surge when it reaches land and causes flooding. And wind and waves also contribute to the damage caused by these surges. All right? Hopefully you got those or something similar, right? So, just as a review, when we think of main idea, we think about what is the text mostly about? And if it helps to think about a pizza, right? The main idea of this pie is that it's pizza. And the details that helped us get there, much like if I set ingredients out in front of you, were the pepperonis, the mushrooms, and the peppers, right? And we ask ourselves, how do I find the main idea? And we do that by looking at the title and headings, looking at any pictures that are included, looking at words that are used more than once or repeated, right? And rereading the first and last sentence, all right? So today we learned how to find the main idea in a text and how the details in a text support the main idea, right? Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.